The next thing that always happens, the seventh step, is the targeting of key individuals. Goebbels was so good at this. He systematically targeted people who were not in alignment with the regime. So you start to see key individuals, visible individuals, kind of singled out to be punished or have repercussions, career repercussions. You saw people like the Dixie Chicks.
We're saying the President of the United States.
The Chicks' hit Travelin' Soldier went from #1 to oblivion in 2 weeks. Replacing it, Daryl Worley's Have You Forgotten, a pro-war song.
It wasn't a local type of thing where people, and there wasn't an aspect of that, but for the most part it was coming down from the top. You are not allowed to play the Dixie Chicks.
One random comment, they wished Bush wasn't from Texas. Next thing you know, Clear Channel, which has close ties to the White House, is making sure that radio stations are not playing their music.
We don't have a stage and a microphone. All we have is our checkbook when we go pay for the CDs and the tickets and the T-shirts and all the stuff we've paid too much money for.
And then, another one of these echoes, you hear about spontaneous CD burnings of Dixie Chicks CDs all over the South. And you know there's something funny going on with this because CDs don't burn. What does this echo? Book burnings, of course. In April of 1933, Goebbels orchestrated spontaneous book burnings where students were supposed to pile up books by people who were critical of the regime and trash them, set them on fire. You saw people like Dan Rather, a critical report of Bush's service.
CBS News, 60 Minutes, and this reporter drew fire today over our reports that raised questions about President Bush's military service record.
Subsequently, the White House put so much pressure on his employer that Dan Rather now claims in a lawsuit that his employers caved to White House pressure and drove him out of his job.
The central thing here is you can't have freedom of the press if you're going to have large, big corporations and big government intruding and intimidating in newsrooms. The chilling effect of investigative reporting is going to be something we don't want to see.
Many visible people, silent Valerie Plame.
My name and identity were carelessly and recklessly abused by senior government officials in both the White House and the State Department.
She was singled out to punish her husband, who had blown the whistle about the president's lie about yellow cake uranium.
After a CIA-sponsored trip to Africa, her husband Joe Wilson wrote this article attacking the rationale for war, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Dick Cheney was furious, and when he found out Wilson's wife worked at the CIA, he wanted to use her to discredit him.
It's claimed in retaliation, Scooter Libby leaked the fact that Wilson's wife, Valerie Plame, was a CIA operative.
And you're convinced that's why they did it, is because they didn't like what you were saying?
Well, I actually think that it was more nefarious than that. I think that they were doing it because they had every intention of trying to protect the cover-up of the lies and disinformation that provided the justification for war in the first place.
They purposefully outed a CIA agent, Valerie Plame. That's not treason anymore, outing a spy? Did I mention it was one of our spies?
Did the July 14th column destroy your covert position and your classified status?
Yes, it did. I could no longer perform the work for which I had been highly trained, and so that career path was terminated.
It was her whole career, and her whole career depended on keeping the cover, and they deliberately went out and trashed her.
Valerie Plame, her career ended, her life endangered, those of the people around her endangered. And she says in her memoir that when she went out on her back porch, to look at her back porch rather, and she has 2 toddlers, she saw that the bolts holding the deck up 20 feet off the ground had been loosened. That's right, targeting key individuals.